So Ratan, you're going to record it, or you want me to?
Yeah, it's started. We can go
Okay.
ahead.
Good. So yeah. So today we'll start KT session on Glossary Explorer. So it's one of the AI tool that we been working on the last few months, but in collaboration with AF Bharat. So this is basically a standalone solution wherein people can actually submit glossaries into the application, and then they can search suitable glossaries for the counterpart of English. When I say counterpart of English, I mean in Indic languages. They can search the relevant glossaries based on specific domains. So you before getting into why this was introduced and what exactly uh, is the use of this service, you some people in this call might have worked around something called TMX already in Anuvaad, right? So for people who don't know what is TMX, so basically in TMX we have like in TMX a user gives a source target pair and machine translation will be overridden by TMX according to context. So for example, in Anuvaad the other day as we discussed, when a particular sentence is being translated to the target language, if you find something in the target sentence being not rightly translated, you go ahead and you go ahead and add a particular phrase of that sentence into something called TMX. So next time when this same phrase occurs, so a machine translation will be overridden by TMX based on the context, that is right. So this TMX now in Anuvad is very contextual to Anuvad only now. Like it's a judicial focused solution, right? So based on we try to avoid adding something out of that context. So but the other tools such as Chitralekha and Shunya also need this glossary, right? And we can't have this TMX being called from Anuvad every time. So we don't have that luxury of calling Anuvaad's API every time there into Chitralekha and Shunya. So like also things like lapse and laser in TMX are not necessary here in Chitralekha and Shunya. So like this was conceptualized, right, like so glossary as separate service is designed, so which now for now can be used by Chitralekha and Shunya, and maybe in future if there are any other uh, you know uh, applications that are built, or if anything that of this kind is conceptualized. So in that case, if there is any use case of such glossary, so this service can be used there. Like they can just call this API search API to search glossaries, or they can use this ingest glossary API to ingest. So coming to this glossary has mainly uh, so login, log out, delete glossary. These are all things that doesn't makes doesn't hold the complete idea of what glossary is, but more the whole crux of this service lies in create glossary and get glossary. These are the two main APIs that I want to that basically focus on in this session. When I say create glossary, it's saving the source target page. For example, uh, we have a word level pair called court or court, right? We have, and we call it as Nyayalaya in Hindi. So for example, say that this is not being translated properly when in a sentence. So quote is being translated to something else, uh, which is not. Uh, uh, just a second. There's a call. I'm just muting it. Hello. I'm so sorry. So yeah. Uh, where? Okay. I was telling about uh, the this thing, right? What do you call?
The word
Nyaya
code.
and court, yeah. So when you actually want it in a it to be translated in a very particular word, right? You want the particular source to be having a particular target every time you come across any of such phrase in a sentence. You don't want to correct it every time, like you do it in TMX. The same logic, similar kind of logic goes around with this as well. So you save it as a source and a target page, and you give out other labels to it, like there are other key value pairs, such as source from which you're collecting this source target pair. I mean, like the source can be anything like be Anuvaad, or like basically the collection of this glossary sets, data sets that you collect from. So that is given as the collection source, and the domain is obviously the domain that this particular sentence or a phrase or a word belong to. So these source and target pairs can be of three types: word, it can be word, it can be phrase, and it can be a sentence also. If that's a requirement, it can be sentence as well. So this is about create glossary, and when you create it, it is stored as I said, it is
Abhishek,
stored
sorry
as.
to interrupt. You haven't shared your screen on this, I guess.
No, I'll share the screen once
Okay, okay, fine, fine.
just going through the theory thing. So I'll just
Got
share
it.
the screen once the I go through the code. To
No
this
worries.
one.
Once you said create glossary, I was under the assumption of that. So
No,
please
no.
ignore.
So I'll just again go through this APIs when I'm going to the. I'll go to the code go through. So yeah. So this was about create glossary, and then as I said, there is something called get glossary, right? Basically, it's a search glossary. So when when all these glossaries are fed into system, and they are uh, basically stored in MongoDB first, because that is ACID compliant, right? I hope you understand what I mean by ACID compliant. So we use MongoDB as a backup storage, because MongoDB queries are not so uh, optimal for search related operations compared to Elasticsearch. So we store these all the created glossaries, get into MongoDB first, and then once they are fed into MongoDB, the same set of glossaries are fed into uh, Elasticsearch. So the only reason we store these into MongoDB first is that we want data sanity, and we want data to be there. If in case Elastic DB goes down, or if something happens to our Elasticsearch, we will be able to reindex using whatever that is stored in MongoDB directly onto the Elastic index. So I hope that's clear, right? So coming to uh, the feeding of these glossaries. So there are certain formats that you can look for while submitting. If you're submitting is as an individual, there is option to submit glossaries as an individual, as I mean, like individual glossaries also. You can feed the system with batch also, right? So when you want to feed the system with the glossaries as a batch, you have an option of feeding it through XLSX file, you have an option of feeding to CSV, and you have option to feeding to TSV file. So these are the formats that we support as of now. So there is a logic written based on what extension you feed the like the input is of. Based on that, the file is read, and all these glossaries are uh, read, and according to queries run, so that all these glossaries are fed into the system. So as I said, we have when you feed the glossary service with any entry, if it's a single entry, or even if it's a batch. When I say batch, as I said, this can be of any type file, as mentioned, XLS, CSS, and TSV. So it will have source language, target language, source text, target text, domain, collection source, and level. Level level can be word, phrase, or sentence. So mostly we see most of the entries as of now that we have received is a word level, or to an to some extent the phrase levels as well. We haven't seen any sentence level as of now, but that is also possible. So uh, uh, based on these fields, the source language, target language, and what all the fields that are mentioning, these are keys, and the values can be, source language can be en, hi, target language can be any of these language codes, and source text will be the string, that source text that you're trying to add as a glossary, and target text will be the target uh, target string that you're adding against that source text. So domain is, as I discussed, domain is something that can be legal, healthcare, sports, finance. Okay, so we have the set of domains that we already have defined. So collection source is a free text, so you can add which collection source this is coming from, just for a reference. So uh, you can add that collection source, and then the level is word, phrase, mode. So based on these fields, this set of fields, we have a validation. So um, and after these many uh, key and value pairs of certain, like one single item has all these uh, key value pairs. Once they are fed into once they are sent, centered as an input, so we enrich this data with few more fields, such as timestamp, id, and we have something called as hash. So we basically hash on source language, target language, source text, and target text, just to make sure that we are not feeding duplicates again to the system. So these are the enrichments that we do. Uh, so before writing it to the MongoDB, so like as I said, MongoDB and Elasticsearch, even though there are two different DBs, we have consistency in the same we are maintaining the consistency across the DBs. So before moving further with this DBs, I'll just quickly touch upon the main differences between TMX and Glossary. So like in TMX, unlike TMX, there is no context here in Glossary. You know? Like eh, so this glossary is like uh, in that sense, there is no context here in glossary. Like in particular TMX, we have certain context. So in TMX, search is basically done on just the source. So, but in glossary, we have fields like domain, collection source, level, and right. So these can be also search parameter along with just the source text. Uh, and as I said, since TMX has only source, target, and locale as search parameters, hashing was very easy there, right? So we store like, if I'm not wrong, Ratan should be aware of this. Like TMX, they are stored in like Redis DB, right, as key value pair.
Yes.
So, but in glossary, search parameter can be of any field. So we use MongoDB here, like, right? As I said, like for faster search, uh, mm, we have Elasticsearch that being used. So yeah, apart from these DB related differences, we have like in glossary we have sliding window algorithm, like which is a modified version of hopping window. This was done by Vishal. So this is the algorithm that we are using in Glossary Explorer to search based on what source text or source phrase that is given as input while searching. So, like if you're not sure what hopping window is, like where instead of both pivots moving to find a phrase, we like one of the pivot is made static. Like for example, if a phrase or a sentence has S1, S2, S3, S4 uh, mm, as a tokens as a token. Suppose if a phrase has four words in it, uh, and an algorithm has to go and search this particular phrase already stored in Elasticsearch DB. Instead of moving both the ends, I mean, like if the logic goes to find S1, and then it will go to find S2, and it go to find S3, S4. So other pivot is also moving from the other end also, S4, S3, S2. So to reduce the computation level, there is a slight a logical change that has been made in the algorithm, which makes one of the pivots to be static. So this is one main part of Glossary Explorer with respect to searching logic. So we'll see that in the code as well. So now you are sure about why Elasticsearch is being used along with MongoDB, right? So before moving to code, but I'll just touch upon these points as well so that you are aware of why MongoDB is being used along Elasticsearch. So uh, there are certain, as I said, like MongoDB is more reliable with when with concern to the data sanity and that asset compliance around that point. But to mention the capabilities of what Elasticsearch can do other than this faster search. So there's something called lemmatization and stemming, right? So MongoDB is least capable of doing such things. So Elasticsearch is useful since it comes with lemmatization out of the box. So that's so box that it checks for us. So uh, that's an added advantage there. Uh, and then asset complaint, as I mentioned, data sanity can't be assured that in Elasticsearch. So we use MongoDB as primary store there. So yeah, in case of data inconsistency in ES, uh, we can actually mm, make it automated as well. Like if there is any data inconsistency in ES, as of now we don't have that cron job or something like that, schedule job or something to trigger uh, a function wherein it clears ES and it reindexes using the data stored in MongoDB. That can also be done, right? So if there is any inconsistency in Elasticsearch, for example, if you seek the count difference or sorry any inconsistency for that matter, you can trigger a job based on these points, and then you can clear Elasticsearch and you can reindex using the data that is stored in MongoDB. So this is pretty much about what Glossary Explorer services. So you'll have a better idea when I go through the code. Now, is there any uh, question around whatever I explained so far? So can I take this silence as no?
You can go ahead.
Okay. I hope everyone are awake.
Yeah.
Mhm. If Prashant is awake, I think everyone is awake. So yeah, jokes apart. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So this application was entirely uh, done in this Flask framework. So so you know that we write our APIs under controller. So I'll quickly go through the APIs that we have and the purpose of these APIs as we see one by one. So we have something called drop-down API for languages. So when a user tries to create any glossary, when I say create, they're trying to insert a glossary into the system. Uh, so in UI, we need what languages that we are supporting to create that glossary, right? An individual can go and actually, I'll just go to uh, this glossary page so that it'll be easy for me to explain. So yeah, was talking about this. So we have predefined list of language that we are supporting. So there's this drop down that you see here is with the help of this drop down language API. So when you click on the drop down there, and then this API is triggered, and the and accordingly the file is read, supported language variable that whatever the set of languages that we support, that is are loaded, and then you see the languages there. So this is a simple API that we are just trying to fetch the language that we support. And similarly, this drop down domain is also the get domain API, which gives the domain that we currently have. You can see it on UI as well. So these are the set of domains that we are supporting. So this is a job of domain. So this the next one is an endpoint for sign up, where and you actually take inputs from the user for his user details, and a simple validate checks that you do, and then you see if user is allowed to uh, sign up based on the X key that is passed on as an environment variable. So and if email is being entered, and if password, these are the basic checks that we do on uh, an individual that is trying to sign up. So based on his inputs, it's validated, and we are letting the user to sign up on this portal. So this is the sign up API. Mm, And then next comes the login API. Similarly, for login API, you go through certain checks. So you're checking if username is there in the data that we receive as an input param, so in the request body. And if you're seeing if the password is there in the input parameters that is being entered there. So these are the basic checkpoints that we are doing for login as well. And these passwords are checked on the user details that is stored on MongoDB at the same time. So to check if the user is authorized, or if he is a genuine user who's trying to sign in into the system. So yeah, this is about login, and then comes the create glossary API. So as I discussed, like you are trying to uh, feed a individual glossary item into the system, then you call upon this create API. So before getting into the batch related API, I would like to tell you that even in batch API that we see further in this, uh, I'll come to that point, but I'll just brush up on this valid glossary thing. What all we are trying to check. So we have a very basic checks on the glossary as well, but they are like we are doing it around lot of all these parameters, so it looks a bit lengthy, but it's all simple validations that we are doing. It's like you're checking if metadata is a part of this data, no? Received input data like request param, if it's request ID, no. So this is the glossary that basically which has all these no, set of key value pairs, source, target, collection source. This is the key that holds all those values. So this is checked, and so as I said, it can be more than one also, right? Create glossary. So even if you're uploading it in bulk, or even if you're trying to pass it as a individual glossary, you can pass it as a list also, having two set of glossaries into one request. That is also possible. You're just checking if it's not a glossary is not empty, glossary key is not empty. So that check is made. And, so yeah, so these are the basic checks we are doing. Then valid items are appended to this list. So for glossary, and then when you enter this particular part of dictionary of glossary, you have, as I said, you have source text. It is just checking if it's not string, and if it's not equal length is not equal, and then basically it's not empty. And then if it's seeing if it's empty, and then you're doing it across all these other key value pairs, and so yeah, you're checking if its levels mentioned is part of predefined levels that we have. So these are the levels that we have predefined in our config file, wherein like it can be either word, sentence, or phrase. So anything other than that will raise an exception, or saying that this particular thing is not a part of a level that you're trying to specify. Or so yeah. So all these items after being validated are fed into valid items. So this is how you validate a incoming glossary. And so yeah, this is all about. So this is simple thing that like you're separating this metadata as data of metadata into metadata key, and then all these validated glossary response into a key called glossary. So yeah, this is about create. So coming to upload. Upload is an API that is written specifically to facilitate batch upload of a file. So you can't uh, you can't upload every time you find a glossary and you can come and trigger this create API, and how long you can, if know how many you can do it individual in this way. So to make it in a very optimized way, so we have an option of uploading a glossary file as a bulk upload. We create a file of XLS, CSV, TSV, any format we have. We keep all these glossaries in this file in an order, and like we make a file, a bulk file of the all these glossaries that you want to feed into the system, and then you access this API. So this API will have initial validation of file type. So based on the file types we are supporting as now. So if you check, we have XLS, XLXS, CSV, TSV. So if any other file formats are fed, so it directly raises an error saying that this is not the file that we are supporting. So that's the initial validation that is done on this file, and this is file type validation. And coming back to the upload API, we have a function called upload file. So if you check this function, you will, so this function is called in that API, and so you see the glossary file is coming, and then if it's a XLS file, so basically you're splitting it based on dot, so that you'll find the extension with which the file is coming. So if the file is of extension XLS or XLS, you use pandas function of read Excel, and then uh, you store that data in variable called data XLS. And else if it's of CSV, use read CSV function, and similarly if it's CSV, you read it can be either of these formats. So you're storing all this thing in a variable called data XLS. So you're trying to orient these records to dict. So and align them with this glossary key. So yeah, again, this validate glossary function is called, which we visited a few minutes back, wherein you check if all these key are key and one, and then this all these values of this particular key are validated, if they are correct to what that it is supposed to be. So these are validations are done here, and yeah. Then as I said, I was telling you, this upload API will internally call create function. So this is where it is called after all the validation is done, and then you have all these set of glossaries in a key called glossary, right? In whatever the input dictionary that is there, like prior to feeding it to the database. We validate this, and then call this function create. So here, where there's one more like enriching method that I already mentioned you. It's adding metadata request ID, and it is trying to add a hash key, wherein you're creating hash of a glossary entry. For every glossary entry, you create a hash, right? As I said, as I mentioned, like you're creating hash
Hello.
out of the, yeah, 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 Ashwin.
Actually, yeah. So
Yeah,
Abhishek, can you show a UI demo before going more into this code
UI demo
of submission?
submission. Okay, you want to see the individual submission, or
As in, if
oh,
possible, both.
okay? Can you just give me with the source text and target text? I'm sure if you just pass on one source text and target text, I'll just add in English to Hindi. If you
You
have
mean
any source, I mean, I want one particular source text and target text to feed. I can,
okay? There
if
was
you can
one
go,
shared by Aravind last day. Maybe I'll share the same.
just one record of it. You have English and Hindi, or you have any other pair there?
I think that is English Malayalam.
Yeah, anyway, anything is okay. English, Malayalam, we can share.
Yeah, I've shared in Slack.
This is not already fed, right?
No.
Okay, this is of ODS format. Linux file extension. This is. I want one individual file, like because
Or if you have any dummy file for submission, that's fine. Which you use for testing or something.
because it doesn't take now. It's already like I don't know if I have. I had something called as test.csv. I have it. Let me try with this. If it's legit. Okay, it has two entries. I believe. Okay, test.csv. I'll try to send test.csv through this file upload API. This is a bulk call that I'm making. Okay, so this is a file I'm trying to upload now. And this is added, and I'll trigger this upload file. So it says 2 ingested out of 2.
Okay.
Right. This is
So if it's a bulk upload, which means we can upload more than CSV files at a single time.
yeah, you
Is
can
it
keep.
like,
I mean, like in one trigger file.
okay?
So it can
Then what's the
have
difference
any.
between both of us?
So see, I mean, like if you are adding an individual glossary, it's like one entry.
Oh, okay.
You're
Okay,
just
got it.
giving source language, target language, one entry. This is just one entry, right? So now
Yes, I got it.
that now you have uploaded a file. It had two entries, right?
Got it.
So in just one trigger, you inserted two records.
Yeah, understood.
So we also, there's one validation catch here. I mean, like I just realized to mention that as well. So what if the second or the third record failed validation? So in that case, the rest of these records are still not going there, right? The upload process is cut right at that point. So we face that. So then we try to correct a few things in logic, so that, like, these are seen as single entries. I mean, like single entries, if they are not uploaded, and then this goes to the next entry. Okay, so based on these success records, you keep those counts triggered in MongoDB, so that you have an idea of how many of you tried, like how many of the records you tried to ingest, and how many actually went through the validation. So I'll come to that part of the code as well. So are we good to resume from where we left?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. So any other questions with any other participants, so that we can touch upon those things and then resume? Okay, I'll take silence as no again. So yeah, I was talking about this create hash thing, why we came up with this function, uh, to actually create deduplication. Basically, we're trying to bring this under deduplication. So we created hash out of these uh, set of key value pairs, and then we actually keep that as a hash as one of the what do you call key in the glossary uh, item that we ingest into MongoDB and Elastic, so that next time when this hash is being created, before making that a DB insertion, we check if if the particular hash is already present in the DB. If it's there, then we are not uh, sending that particular record into it. So next record will be checked for the same, and then it will be processed accordingly. So create API, I was here, right? So yeah. So create API had that create hash thing, right? So then you call insert bulk, and then the glossary has all these entries in here because it creates it enriches the data by, and it's created time. This is audit key that has all this create glossary ID. All these accordingly are appended into this list, and then it's given to insert bulk. So this is a function where you have a MongoDB connection, and then you have this insert many query return wherein your data is uh, used to a query accordingly, and then you add these things there. So this is a simple insert bulk API. Uh, and right after this, you do the same function for you use the same method to insert these glossaries into what do you call the Elasticsearch. So this is a function that we use to ingest data into Elasticsearch. Because this is something to get the client of the Elastic that is running, and then you have certain enrichments here as well, and then this is this function where you actually index uh, these records into Elasticsearch, and this hash is something that you are maintaining the record uniqueness. So as I mentioned, every individual record of a glossary has this hash key in it, and around which the uniqueness is maintained. So there is an option in Elasticsearch where you can there is an option in MongoDB as well, where you can set your uniqueness to certain key. Similar in the similar fashion, we have the like we have the what you call um, option to pass on which key you want to have this uniqueness. So we give hash that, so that every record is maintained unique. So this is all about bulk upload. So this completes after this being called index basic to yes. This completes one upload to like one upload function is done, right? So this is about upload API. I went through all the functions that we internally call to upload. So you can go through these codes again and come back if you have any doubts. So then we have this search API. So search API basically as I said, it's only around the Elasticsearch, and there is no point of MongoDB here because we are using Elasticsearch for only for its search capabilities, so faster search capabilities. So you don't have to deal with MongoDB while you're searching something. So yeah, you have you have a search option here as well in UI, wherein you select the source language that you're interested, and you're selecting the target language that you're potentially targeting to find the particular phrase or a word in the glossary that we have in the system. So, and the domain is an optional thing. It's basically flexible, wherein if you uh, mention the domain, your computations will gradually come down to a certain level. So this is how you search for a particular glossary in the DB. And this API is pretty much doing the same. So you are basically you are calling this API to search. So wherein like you you validate your search, it sees if input is like input key is not there, it search. If it's not there, it says the input is not provided. And if the target language is not provided, it says the target language is not. It's basically it's mandatory, right? Target language. If you thought so, it's mentioned on the UI as well, right? That's giving this as a start. So it's a mandatory thing. And like if you don't enter target language, it will give an error saying that it's very important to uh, mention which target language you're trying to search this particular crossing. So this is a basic level of validation in the search. And then comes search glossary, an actual function wherein you you write a logic for how this search API should work while gathering the required glossary from in this huge data store of Elasticsearch. So here you have a function called glossary phrase search, where if you see this phrase search is like as I mentioned, so it's a bit complex algorithm, which even if so if you just go through this logic written here, you'll understand how an individual entry is being traversed through this logic, and how it is made optimum that you find a particular phrase in the data store. So this is the logic that I was mentioning earlier. Uh, so it basically takes out the source text here as a phrase, and then it we call this function called search from store. So search from store will is a repo related function wherein search from basic this thing like ES function is triggered, wherein you actually try to these are match functions. If you have an idea of how Elasticsearch, you'll understand how what are these match all, and all these DB queries that you have. And if you go through some of these queries, you'll understand internally how Elasticsearch is trying to uh, search for a particular phrase out of so many that are stored. So let's not dive into these queries now, because if you are not aware of what how ES works internally, you'll not get anything that I explain you at this point about this Elasticsearch queries. So we'll just understand these are as queries that you see in MongoDB. Right? These are just basic match queries, and they that you search a particular record in the DB. So it's as simple as that. Uh, so so yeah, search glossary. Mm, what else? Glossary phrase search was there. So yeah, this is pretty much based on this logic, that this logic helps making the computations lessons. Otherwise, this might make the query considerably uh, taking more time than without this logic. Right? So this this is how you search from the Elasticsearch. So if I have to show you one sample, so judgment is something that you want to search. So you get all the records that you have for judgment. So you can see there are like multiple records of different source, and then you have different, even though the source is same, there are different target things, right? So Niptara, Nibbed, Niptara. So so these are the options that an individual can choose from if they wish to find any alternative for judgment in whatever domain that he can specifically mention if he wants to see it as in general education and also. So now you see healthcare and all here, right? So if you want any, if you want just healthcare, you'll see only healthcare. Or if you want to see government press release, if it's there, it will show. Otherwise, it shows zero records of that particular domain. If you don't mention any domain, it will just do out all the results that it has. So we can limit these results as well. So these are what we call config level things. And yes, you can play around this, like if required in the code. If you have go through the uh, configs, you'll understand how these limits are set. So these are mostly to do with Elasticsearch. So a bit knowledge of Elasticsearch is required to just understand how it internally first thing is search API is working. So and the rest of the functions here are just headers. Mm, yeah. So there are a few other APIs where we use these for analytics. So if we see the dashboard, we have something called analytics. So to bring up these beautiful charts here, we are making use of these APIs wherein you this is a file, domain source count is a file, JSON file on server. This is also language pair JSON file that's there. That's that is already there here, and where you write to this particular file every time a cron is triggered. So I'll come to that cron function. So basically, these counts that you see here are not real time as of now. So for every 6 hours, we are running a scheduled job. Uh, so it's a DB query that is ran, and it basically searches, like it basically counts the number of records that are present in the DB as of now. It'll after that query is run, then that particular count is written in this uh, count. I can just show you if it's there. I don't think if I have a file up here. I'll just share right after this session with you guys one sample file. How that what is the file format and all. Uh, so I'll come back to this scheduled uh, job thing, and there's a function that does this. So before that, I'll quickly go through these remaining APIs wherein we had update API. This was basically the requirement in Shunya where we wanted to update an existing record which is already there, and you want to update it by no you like after some point you think this entry has needs some changes, right? When you search, you observe that there is some issue with uh, this particular uh, record. So in that case, you can go and use this update. Because currently, it's not integrated in uh, this Glossary Explorer UI. So you can see it in Shunya's UI. Like it was basically for them. This was uh, done. So I brought up these two APIs. One is a update and there is one more called suggest. I don't know how far they're using this, but yeah, this API is also there, but not in Glossary, not in Glossary Explorer application. You can't see. I don't see this integrated at because there was no need when this was planned for Shonia. So this is like you're trying to suggest a glossary and you that goes through one level of check. I mean, like it admin or someone who can go through these glossary entries before being pushed to DB. They go through one level of checking through admin, and then if these glossaries are checked and you are uh, giving a count, right? There's something called as update count. So we initially we keep all the we had an idea. Uh, this is totally with respect to Shunya. I'm just telling why this API was uh, planned and brought in. So initially, when an individual glossary record is inserted, we keep the count as 0. When any suggestion is made for that particular record, you update a count so that the count is made by plus, like plus or minus 1 based on if it's no incremented thing. So after that, we had some idea of flushing that record if it's not of if it's of 0 count or 1. So with that, we didn't go beyond that. We planned for that, and this that is why I mentioned that I'm not sure if this suggest API is still in use in in Shoni at least. So this was just this is an idea that I gave you around the suggest API. What why this is written? It is actually present as a part of API. And this is delete glossary, wherein if you think this glossary is not necessary while you so when you log in and then you check this glossary, so you can delete it from UI as well. I don't think it is integrated here. Let me just find it. Yeah, it's integrated. Sorry, it's integrated. You can delete this record this way, right? If you see any discrepancy or so yeah, anything that you see has to be deleted. That can be done through this delete API. So, so yeah, I was talking about scheduler, right? So this is the scheduler that that is written specifically for analytics of this glossary. So these are so as I mentioned, 6 hours is what the scheduled job is triggered for every 6 hours, and then they try to count from DB domain based. So it will see if like it will go through all this query and then so this count from DB has this aggregation function wherein you return the count through it. Uh, and so yeah, you just add these thing as a part of like collection shows total count. You add the total count to this key, and then you create a dictionary out of all these key value pairs, and then the result like is a domain count, collection source count. So you just open this file on it's like, so it's a server, it's on the server. You just give this path of this file name, and then it'll open, and then it'll just write this JSON object. This JSON object is basically the this dictionary which has this count related information for this particular like based on this domain and collection, domain and source. So yeah, that was this entire function. This entire function was for just for domain thing, domain and collection source. So this is, so since language level of count is different, if you see on UI, you see there are two particular counts where like source language, if you're selecting, and then this is a count, language level count. And if you see here, if you hover over this bars on this chart, you see count. So these are language specific here, right? So so it is a Hindi with English as source. You have selected English as source, right? And so the target level count is also like, this basically means that the count that you see here is English and Bengali has so many pairs of glossaries in the system. So this is English and Marathi has so many pairs of glossaries records in the system. So this is for the language, and this is for domain, and this is for collection source. So collection source and domain queries uh, handled in one function called data count. This is one job that is ran separately, and like this is the other function wherein it goes through count by language query, where based on what source language you select and based on what target language you have. So based on that, this file is written. So when these both files are written in this API, as we saw initially, we'll have something called count. So yeah, we have a count, right? So once in the background that scheduled job is ran, and already this file is created and that is written, and then if you after 6 hours another it is triggered again and this file is updated, right? So you don't have to worry, there's always this file present on the server, this and this. So this is just an API to read from this file. When you just click on this analytics and you try to select Hindi, and that particular, you know, if you see that particular thing is called, right? So yeah, this so if you see language count here, you see this language count API is called here, and in response you get this file that is read. So from this UI, okay, picks up all the required labels and counts, and it is arranged. The bar is up, like this bar chart is arranged according. So yeah, this is pretty much about the Glossary Explorer, and these are uh, the queries that we use on this, like login queries. There's all those are all mentioned as user repo.py, where all these queries that are related to use when you say like UMS, right? Like user management related queries all written in this particular script, and all the logical queries that have to go through, and all these functions which require all these queries being called. So those are all maintained under this repository, under these two different files. And yeah, so under service, we have two files for dgloss service, user service. So dgloss service will have all the functional related uh, function definitions written, like create hash, upload file, create glossary, search by glossary. So all under this file, and all uh, like user, if user is session is active, or if user is there, log out, log in, delete user, all UMS related functions are under written under user service.py. And under utils, you have validator, email notifier. So these are the like basically the validate functions that were written, and then we have like certain like when you create a password, so how you verify and all these things are in this utils file. So ML notifier is basically when there is something wrong with uh, the count, right? If the count is like scheduler job, if it's not like if some for some reason if it fails, we were trying to send an alert saying that there's something wrong with the job that we are running. So this is something that holds up to what we have to do with scheduled jobs. So yeah, you can just clone this repo and let me know what you think about. I'll just drop a link to that repo. Meanwhile, any doubts, questions?
So this APIs like update and delete, is it applicable to both Mongo and Elastic?
Yeah, they're applicable to both Mongo and Next.
Okay.
So
And how is
now,
this thing being? Okay, please
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, go on, go on.
So how is this thing deployed? Do we have Jenkins and all?
Oh no, it's a separate VM that is running.
Okay.
I'll I'll share all these commands that we are using to deploy, and how you are accessing the VM. So Gokul had shared me these things initially. So I'll just share with you guys how you have to log into this VM. So there was a concept of making it as that, like Dockerization was planned, but they didn't go with it. I don't know why, but as of now, it's like it's running on a VM.
Okay.
So this is such.
So particularly only the backend is running on the VM, right? The front end is from the Air for Bharat folks themselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think UI is automated. UI deployment is automated. We can check. We can check with Murkank once. I think it is automated. This is the uh, git link that I've pasted here. Just you can just clone and play around with this code repo. The only thing that you need here for search capabilities and all, you have to bring up an ES instance locally and one Mongo instance up, and so that you can start inserting uh, and searching. So I'll just share the collection source also so that it'll be easy for you. So I'm just sharing this my local collection source so that you don't have to hit the production APIs. So I was using this collection for local testing. So I'm just add it in thread, same thread so that you don't miss it. Oh, Ratan is still around. I thought you dropped in the middle.
Yeah, that meeting got cancelled apparently. So
So so that you don't have to go through the recording session again. I think I made it very uh, clear and transparent with what all I had to transfer as a knowledge pertaining to this particular service. So I hope I made the session very clear and simple.
yes, we'll just go through it and see if we have any queries.
So only thing we I left with in this is how you are deploying and all. I'll just make a, list of commands and then they're in bits and pieces in my Slack, and because as in how Gokul sent it, I was just using it. I have no particular file as of now made for this command, so I'll just make it and then share it with the documentation of this so that it'll be easy for you to refer. Sounds good.
Sure, Abhishek. Yes.
Cool. Sure then. Are we good to end this session?
Yes, we can go ahead.
I think we can have another session tomorrow for data then.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to
It,
ask that that is handled by us only, right?
no, that is already given. We built it and we developed it and it is transitioned to DIC team. So as of now, we don't have any, they have revoked all our accesses actually. So we don't even have a login credentials for now. We have to, they are like maintaining it now. So,
Okay.
so they haven't made it clear yet that we are not supposed to interfere or worry about these things, but they had actually asked for the KT so that they can take this forward. So I had provided them both deployment KTs and development KTs in parts or a week. So I think after that they they created their own team and then they started with this you know continuation of the development further based on their requirements. So I'll just tell you how like just the brief idea of why data done and then how what are the APIs and why it is used so that in just in case if they come back with any queries or if they come back for any help, you'll be able to at least understand hell what they're seeking, right? So, yeah, I think we have talked everything about this. So yeah, tomorrow I'll arrange another session. So we'll quickly get through beta session brief briefing, and then we'll we'll work on sharing all the rest of the documentation and commands that you people might require taking this forward for deployment and any changes.
Sure.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining in and being patient throughout.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Thanks, Abhishek, for the session.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, man. Have a good day.